a nice crowd there, and of course everybody got their books autographed. She also left a number of books. They had them on a rack there that she had autographed. I don't know if there's any left yet now or not, but they were right up front, or you could ask someone there at the front desk. But I've got a copy of it here, and later on in the show I'm going to read from it. It's a devotional, and so it has a page dedicated to each day of the week. And there's a real good one in here that I think pertains to a lot of what's going on now, especially with the focus on the Islamic State and all. We'll get into that a little bit later on in the show, though. First of all, there are a bunch of new polls out, and all of them show, in essence, the same thing, and that is that the Moby Dick is still owning the ocean. He still owns the ocean. He is ahead in all of polls. In an ABC national poll, it's Trump 32, Carson 22, Rubio 11, Cruz 8, Jeb 6. Fox national poll, Trump 28, Carson 18, Cruz 14, Rubio 14, Jeb 5. New Hampshire Fox poll, Trump 26, Rubio 12. And in New Hampshire, Iowa, and South Carolina polls, CBS shows Trump with similar leads. And he is not fading in the polls at all. You see shifting around behind him. It kind of, in a way, reminds me of a real strong horse in a race where he's out front and everybody's sort of shifting around in the pack behind him. Certainly it seems as though Rubio and Cruz are moving upwards. Jeb is bottoming out, and the others are going nowhere.
Cruz has taken second in Iowa.
And he and Rubio are running neck and neck in most of these polls. And Carson has slipped back in most of them, and in some of them, as I said, Trump has actually moved up. And they, of course, is scaring the bejeebers and a whole lot of other stuff out of the GOP, and they are going to start doing something about it. And I'm kind of surprised they haven't already, but in fact they have. It just hasn't had any effect. We haven't seen it too much down here, but there have been a great deal of negative ads running against him in Hampshire, some in South Carolina, to no effect, really. I can't say no effect because I, of course, can't see and know everything. Only God can. But let's just say this, with apparently very little effect. Perhaps they have kept him from going higher in the polls. That's a big possibility. But they have not chiseled away at any of his support. And I want to, Jeff, you're going to have to do something because I can't see the clock there. There you go. Thank you. Let's go ahead and take a call from Stanley, and then I want to get back to an article that was in the Wall Street Journal this week about what the establishment is going to do about Trump. Anyway, Stanley, go ahead. Thank you for calling.
Sure, Chris, thank you. I did read that article, and what they're basically doing, they're going to throw dirty tricks at him, and it's not going to work. Anyway, I think once the Trump-Cruz ticket takes office, the first thing President Trump needs to do is get a formal declaration of war against radical Islam from the Congress and any citizen who directly or indirectly aids or abets them in their war against us. And also he'll need a new War Powers Act, authorization to shut down mosques that preach hate against the U.S., to arrest and detain fellow travelers. I mean, big problems require big solutions, and this is huge. And as far as this mini caliphate in Amtrak, Michigan, if we can do it without circumventing the Posse Comitatus Act by using our state troops, National Guard, surround them with tanks, shutter up mosques, and require all citizens to sign a loyalty oath, and if they don't, Gitmo, stripped of citizenship or shipped to Syria, Iraq, or Afghanistan, or like a Democrat governor just said, bring back the internment camps. Sounds radical, but this is, as we saw in Paris, they're out to destroy every free society, and they have and emerging capability to do it. So that's my thought.
Okay, well, we're going to delve a little bit more into that in the second hour of the show because we're going to talk about that situation in Michigan there, and certainly, the worse this gets, the more those solutions, appear to be the necessary ones. But thank you, Stanley. I appreciate that. But
You're welcome, Chris.
All right, and I do want to get back to the Wall Street Journal article that he referenced and that I'm referencing. It came out in the weekend edition yesterday, and it's at the bottom of the front page. Let me go back there real quick. I've got it right here.
Well, while you're looking that up, Chris,
go ahead.
What about the First Amendment? Aren't they free to practice their
I want to get to that.
religion
I want to get to that later, though.
Okay.
All right. I want to deal with this first because. Well, let me just get to it, and you'll see why. The article is entitled "Republican Mainstream Revs Effort to Hit Trump." I'll just read the first paragraph and then a couple other ones. The Republican establishment, increasingly alarmed by the enduring strength of Donald Trump's presidential bid, is ratcheting up efforts to knock him out of the race, including the first attempt to unite donors from rival camps into a single anti-Trump force. You might want to ask which rival camps? Mr. Kasich's, Mr. Cruz's, and Mr. Bush's. Now, I'm a little bit surprised with Mr. Cruz's. Now, this isn't Ted Cruz. This is Ted Cruz's big money donors. Now, yes, Ted Cruz gets a lot of donations from little people, but he also gets a lot of big money from big donors. And they're going to play a role in this whole thing, whether he likes it or not. And which brings into question, a lot of what Trump is talking about, is certainly I do think that people, if they want to participate in the political process, giving money is one way to do that. But there is a whole thing about having the light of day shine on things, because one reason why they have these PACs and one reason why they work together in these LLCs is so nobody knows who they are. Okay? So when these donors get together to do this, we're not going to know who they are, what their motivations are, or what perhaps they expect to get out of a Kasich, Cruz, or Bush presidency as opposed to a Donald Trump presidency. Because what they're playing here is a dirty little game, and what I would call a dangerous little game for the Republican Party, all in the name of saving the Republican Party from the likes of Donald Trump. Okay? Now, I don't care what you think about Donald Trump out there, but is it right for these people to decide for us that he's qualified or he's worthy or he's what the country needs at this particular moment in time, or is that really supposed to be our responsibility here? I think it's supposed to be our responsibility here. There's a memo going around. Let me just read this. The goal, according to the memo, isn't to convert Mr. Trump's supporters into backing other candidates, but to dissuade them from voting altogether, especially in New Hampshire's influential first-in-the-nation primary.
So why don't we just let Hillary watch in without having a general election?
That's my question. That's my question. And here they're saying, oh, if we don't do something now, let me read this quote. People are finally taking the threat that Trump will destroy the Republican Party and lose the general election to Hillary Clinton seriously. Who recently started working for a new super PAC backing Florida Senator Marco Rubio. So I understand that, obviously he's the big fish in the pond. He's Moby Dick. They're the Ahabs. They got to do something to overcome him. But this is dirty politics at its worst. And, oh, by the way, they're going to make up stuff. And they're telling us here they're going to make up stuff. Mr. Maher's, and that's not Bill Maher, Ms. Mayer's anti-Trump effort is planning an especially blunt and direct approach. The group's memo said it would be pitching opposition research to media in early voting states, as well as radio and television ads and web videos that attract media attention based on their outrageousness and boundary-breaking or bizarre nature. One possible ad would link Mr. Trump's views and style to his celebrity foe, Rosie O'Donnell, in hopes of provoking a reaction from Mr. Trump. Other possible tactics include fake pro-Trump ads that show him supporting socialized medicine, seizing property through eminent domain, and taking other positions that stray from GOP orthodoxy, using a Trump impersonator to show him insulting people and attacking his business record in stark, nasty terms.